They laughed when you were broken. They mocked your silence, thinking you were weak. But what they didn't know is that silence is not weakness. It's the sound of transformation. Because when a wounded soul stops speaking, that's when something powerful is being born in the dark. There comes a time in every man's life when his pain becomes invisible. You scream silently, but no one listens. You cry behind closed doors, yet the world calls you emotionless. You try to hold yourself together and they call you cold. You walk away quietly and they say you changed. They don't understand that silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. It's what happens when pain evolves into wisdom. Once upon a time, you explained yourself to everyone. You tried to make them understand your intentions, your truth, your loyalty, your scars. But they didn't listen to understand. They listened to judge. You begged them to see your heart, but they were too busy protecting their ego. You offered your soul, but they only wanted your energy. So one day, you stopped talking. You stopped defending yourself. You stopped trying to prove your worth. And in that silence, something inside you awakened. Because silence is not emptiness. It's the sound of self-respect returning home. They thought your silence meant defeat. They thought you gave up. But you weren't giving up, you were letting go. Letting go of fake people, fake peace, and fake love. Letting go of the endless cycle of explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You learned the most powerful truth of all. You don't need to announce your growth. Your absence will speak louder than your words ever could. When you stop reacting to disrespect, you stop feeding their ego. When you stop explaining yourself to people who twist your words, you stop wasting your energy. And when you stop fighting for a place in someone's life, you start finding your place within yourself. That's when they start to notice. That's when your silence begins to haunt them. Because now they can no longer control you. They can't guilt trip you into staying. They can't shame you into silence. They can't manipulate you with "I miss you" texts. You've become unreadable, unreachable, unshakable. They don't miss you. They miss the version of you that tolerated their nonsense. They miss the person who forgave too easily, who stayed after being disrespected, who kept caring even when it hurt. Now that version of you is gone, buried under the lessons your silence taught you. They'll try to pull you back, throwing words, creating drama, pretending to care. They'll act like the victim, twist the truth, and rewrite history. But you've seen behind the mask. You've seen how smiles can hide jealousy. You've seen how love can become competition once you start to rise. So you stay silent, not because you're weak, but because you've learned that peace is more expensive than revenge. Let them talk. Let them gossip. Let them create stories to make themselves feel better. Your silence is louder than their noise. Your calmness is louder than their drama. And your growth, that's the ultimate revenge. Because nothing hurts an insecure soul more than watching the one they tried to destroy rise higher, stronger, colder, and wiser. You see, silence isn't the absence of words. It's the presence of power. It's when you stop chasing validation and start chasing purpose. You stopped arguing with fools because you realized that explaining truth to blind minds is like shouting at a wall, pointless and exhausting. Now your focus is sacred. Your energy is protected. Your peace is guarded by silence. And slowly they begin to realize what they lost. Your attention, your loyalty, your energy gone. They remember your calm voice, your genuine smile, your presence that once made everything feel safe. But that version of you no longer exists. The fire they mocked has now become your armor. The tears they laughed at have turned into steel. Your silence haunts them now, because they know they'll never have access to that energy again. They'll never hear your voice again, not the way they used to. They'll never feel your warmth again, because you've learned to give it only to those who deserve it. And maybe late at night, when the noise fades, they think of you, not with love, but with regret, because they realized they were laughing not at your pain, but at their own fear of what you could become. They tried to break you because they saw your potential. They tried to control you because they felt your power. And now your silence reminds them of their failure. You don't need revenge. Your peace is revenge. Your silence is revenge. Because while they're still talking, you're still growing. You're building a life so powerful that even their hatred can't reach it. So never break your silence to prove your worth. Let your results speak. Let your calmness confuse them. Let your absence echo louder than their noise. Because true strength is not about how loud you roar. It's about how calm you remain after being burned. They mocked your pain once. Now your silence walks through their memories like a ghost, reminding them of everything they lost when they lost you. And when they whisper your name, let them do it with regret. Because your silence isn't weakness. It's evolution. It's revenge without chaos. It's healing turned into power. Protect your peace. Walk in silence. Because silence is stronger than anger. And those who once mocked it will spend the rest of their lives haunted by it.